Hello, welcome to Musicians Edition for our piano series. My name is Evan. In this video, I'm going to be going into how to play lead sheets on the piano. So lead sheets, differing from a typical sheet music that has left and right hand treble and bass clef paired together, a lead sheet is often just right hand treble clef, often accompanied by lyrics. You're playing that main melody with your right hand. And then above that treble clef is just going to be chord names that you can play with your left hand. So that could just be the letter E, F, G. It could have a little M next to it. It could have numbers accompanied by it as well too. So we're going to talk about how we compare that with the lead sheet right hand melody. So lead sheets are really great because it's not just the sheet telling you exactly what to play. You can really set your own difficulty level to this lead sheet. As long as you can play that right hand melody, you can decide how complex you want the chords going along with it to be. And so you can start it simple. As you get more comfortable, you work your way higher and higher to more complex. So starting off with just maybe one root note of those chords, building it up to the full 1, 3, 5 triad, trying out inversions, other kinds of complex chords that you could add in there as well too, depending on how hard you want that piece to be for you. So what lead sheets are going to help you with is just looking at the shorthand for a chord, knowing what that's going to be, and selecting what notes you want to be able to play, because it's not telling you exactly where or what notes to play in that chord. It's just giving you an idea of a chord that fits well with it, so you can decide what octave to play it in, what order you want to play those notes in. So it's great for creativity, setting your own pace of how difficult you want that piece to be. So I will be talking about reading just that chord name, finding the notes on the piano in this video. If that's something you're not ready for, I have put out videos on chords and most recently on chord inversions as well too, which we'll be talking about in this video. So make sure you go ahead and check those out if that is unfamiliar for you. Otherwise, we can jump into this here. So very, very brief refresher on these chords. So major chords, you have that root note that the chord is named after, then you count up a major third and then a minor third to get the 1, 3, 5 notes. So that's 4 notes, then 3 notes. So from C, you count up 4 notes to E, and then 3 more notes to G, and that's the C major chord. For the C minor version, you just flip the order of how you count. So you count 3 and then 4, which is minor third and then major third. So C up 3 notes is E flat, 4 more notes is G. So that's C major versus the C minor chord. And to recognize the shorthand on your sheets, often a major chord is just the letter by itself. Sometimes it'll have M, A, J, but most frequently just the letter. So just C tells you to play C major, versus that minor version will have a little M next to it most frequently. So C with a little M tells you C minor chord. And you could see more complex things written out like the numbers on there. You could see a C7, a C sus4. We're not going to worry about those too much in this video. You can just get by playing the regular major version, regular minor versions of those chords as well too, and it'll sound just fine. All right, we're going to head over to the piano, jump into an example of a lead sheet that we can go ahead and play together. So I'm going to show a basic example of a lead sheet that we can demonstrate this with, and we'll go ahead and play along with this together. This is Ode to Joy, and so lead sheet, you can see you have a right hand melody with lyrics, and then there's chord names written above that are either going to be C, G, or F. And we know these are all major chords because there's no little M next to them, so we are assuming these are all going to be regular 1, 3, 5 major chords that we're going to be playing. And getting started, you almost always want to play just the lead melody by itself first. Get comfortable with playing that. Play it a few times over to build some muscle memory on the movements and make sure you know what fingers will play which notes comfortably. And so here's what the right hand looks like on the top line if we play that out. And this is really, really basic. It's all quarter notes. We're just moving up one note at a time. And really all we're playing is just C through G. So that's where I'm going to put my hand at. We're starting with E. We're going to work up to G. That's the highest note we play. And then we work our way back down to C. And that's pretty much all we're going to be playing in here. Just everything between those. So from the top, E, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, E, D, D. And let's go one more time. Here we go. Okay, so that should sound pretty much just like that. And I am only going to play the top line of this just for simplicity to get through this, but you can always play the rest of it. What we do on this top line will apply to the rest of the song and for every lead sheet that we do. Okay, so we got the melody down. Now we want to start adding in the left hand bit by bit, and we're going to do that by just playing the root note first and only the root note to accompany this right hand melody. So instead of playing the full C chord, the full G chord, we're just going to play the root note of C and then G. Because the hardest part typically about playing left and right hand together is knowing where they're going to line up together. Fortunately, this is a pretty simple example that we should be able to get through easily, but other ones will not be so simple. So left hand is just going to play C and G. And it doesn't tell us which C, which G we're going to play. So that's where we can get a bit creative and figure out what we think works best, either what sounds best or what's going to be easiest for us to play. And so I know I'm going to play this C. I like that one. It's, you know, pretty standard spot for where you're going to play your left hand chord at. I could go up or I could go down. But looking ahead, if I know I'm going to play that full G chord, that's going to be like this, and that's really going to run into what my right hand is doing. So because of that, I'm going to want to playing it down here at this G. So eventually my chords are going to look like this. So that's what I'm going to do. We're starting off with just the root notes, so we're just going to play C, and then we'll play the G that's lower. And that's all we're playing in this first line, is just the C and the G. So let's match that up with the right hand, and we'll see how it's going to work together. Okay, so we want to look at where everything's going to be lining up at. So it's going to start off with E on the right hand and C with the left. And then this second G is where I'm going to go down to G with the left hand. C with C here. And then this E with G. And that's all it is for this part. This is really easy because it's just quarter notes. There's not any kind of a difficult rhythm to it. So I'll go ahead and play that a little bit quicker. Here we go. And that's what we should be having there. Just the root notes, so we found out where those are going to line up, and now we're going to make it a little bit harder by adding the full chords to it. So to figure out the full chords, we talked about counting it up by using major third, minor third, which is 4 notes, then 3 notes. So major chords we count 4 notes up and then 3 notes up. If it was a minor chord, we'd be doing 3 and then 4. All the ones in this song are major, so that's all we have to worry about here. So we start from C, and I count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to E, and then 1, 2, 3 to G. And that's my 3 notes of the C major chord. Going down to G, we play G as the root note. 1, 2, 3, 4 to B. 1, 2, 3 to D. Okay, so those are my 2 chords. And I want to get comfortable just making those chord movements with my left hand here. So C, E, G to G, B, D. Okay, and now we're going to pair these together. So let's go ahead and try that. We did the root notes, so we know where we're going to play them. Now we're just adding in these extra notes. And luckily, it's a really easy hand movement. We're just sliding our hand over. So practice that. Just play, slide, slide. Okay, let's go ahead and do this nice and slow. So we're starting off on E, and here we go. All right, let's go ahead and play that one more time here. Here we go. All right, we did it. We added standard 1, 3, 5 chords. Now we're going to see how we can mix this up a bit. So depending on your understanding of chords, you might stop there if that's the most you've gone into chords. However, I have put recent videos up about chord inversions, and using lead sheets is a great way to mix around and kind of experiment with those chord inversions. So for those who do understand chord inversions, stick with me here for this part of it. We can change around these standard 1, 3, 5 chords, which is just C, E, G as a 1, 3, 5, G, B, D as the 1, 3, 5 for those chords. And those are the most common ways to play those chords, but we can use inversions here to make them easier for us to play. Less of movements between the chords and better continuity in the piece as we're going to be playing them closer to each other without having our hand move around so much. And so we do that with inversions by mixing up the order of the notes that we're going to play. So typically the most common way to do it is to just make it so our hand does not have to move around so much. So that's going to be our goal with this one here. Instead of me having to slide from C, E, G down to G, B, D, sure, it's not that hard with just these two chords, but once we do have more chords involved in a piece, it could get more complex, and especially we do have a more complex melody, we don't have to be thinking and moving so much with our left hand too. So in this example, both chords use a G, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. I want to be playing the same G with each of these chords and figure out the best way to do that without having to move so much. So if I want G to be the lowest note in each of these, I'm going to use a second inversion for that C chord. So I can play G as the lowest here, and then C and E up here. And that's a C chord second inversion, because I had C and E both jump up above the G. So that's what that one's going to look like. And then the least amount of movement possible is me just playing the standard regular root version of the G chord on G, B, D. And so look at how easy this movement has become for us now. G, C, E, G, B, D. So pinky stays in the same spot on G the whole time. I'm just playing index and thumb, and then it's easy for me to just play middle and thumb with the thumb sliding over to D. So much easier from this movement to this movement, just this now. Okay, so let's go ahead and we can try that out too. So let's see what it sounds like with these inversions, and we'll see if it's any easier for you to be able to play. So starting off again, we're doing G, C, E to G, B, D. So let's go nice and slow. G, C, E goes first with this E. And that's what that would sound like. Really easy movements. And that's it for lead sheets. Hopefully you can add these skills to your repertoire to be able to play lead sheets as well as standard staffs. And these are great to be able to make your own. And it's a great way to build up playing both hands together because you can really set your own difficulty level for it. If you want to just play right hand with just some of those root notes, then you can start adding in the chords as you get more comfortable with the piece or as you start to level up as a player. And then you can play around with these inversions once you get comfortable with those too. Have fun playing and see you next time.